why your spouse doesn't want to be intimate with you and how to change that. Are you tired of your marriage not growing? You're not alone. Welcome to Why Your Marriage Isn't Growing, a podcast helping couples reignite their relationship, break free from the trap of just getting along, and rediscover the joy and passion they once had. Welcome back to another episode of Why Your Marriage Isn't Growing. In this episode, you'll discover the real reasons your spouse doesn't want to be intimate and exactly what you can do to change that starting tonight.
So let me give 3 benefits that they'll discover in this episode. The surprising reason your spouse avoids intimacy, and it's probably not what you think. How to address the hidden barriers that are killing your physical connection, and a step-by-step approach to rebuilding desire that actually works.
That's awesome. The stakes and the opportunities are very high here. Sexual rejection in marriage can create deep wounds and growing distance between Christian spouses. What if the solution isn't more pressure or waiting it out, but understanding what's really happening beneath the surface?
And that is so important.
That's why the stakes are very high on this one.
Yes.
Tune in.
So the surprising reason your spouse avoids intimacy, and it's probably not what you think. So let's talk about what it is. The most common underlying causes of intimacy avoidance: feeling emotional disconnected, exhaustion from life demands, unresolved conflict, creating emotional barriers, performance anxiety, hormonal changes, and feeling undesired outside the bedroom.
I don't have any of those things to happen to me, and I'm so thankful to God that we are still intimately attracted to one another, and we don't have those issues, which we know that people have those, especially unresolved conflict creating emotional barriers. Paul explains that to us in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 3-5, speaks to the importance of physical intimacy in marriage. But Song of Solomon reveals that true intimacy flows from emotional and spiritual connection. Understanding the root causes helps address the real issues. Wouldn't you say that that's a primary thing? Don't just deal with the surface part. Find out what the root is. You know this from being a gardener. Once you cut out the root of the weed,
everything dies.
Everything dies and it will not come back. So you equate that to your marriage and the intimacy that you might be losing in the bedroom.
Okay, so let's talk about what to do.
That's a good one.
You're going to complete an intimacy barrier assessment together. Rate your emotional connection on a scale of 1 to 10 and discuss honestly.
Now, you know what? That's pulling back the layers right there and becoming totally transparent. And next, you want to identify current life stressors that might be affecting energy and desire.
Okay, so you also want to discuss any unresolved conflicts that create emotional distance.
That's good. And most importantly, consider physical factors: health, medication, hormonal changes. And that could be not just with a woman, that could be with a man. A man has medical issues, hormonal changes. So don't always equate that to be because of woman.
So you want to explore whether intimacy has become routine rather than connecting.
That's very good. But really, when you do this, it's a real good thing. Ask directly, what would help you feel more desire for physical intimacy? That's getting to the heart of the matter. And getting to the root of it. So this way, you're not guessing what the deal is. The person is being totally transparent and upfront with you.
But don't you think a lot of couples are afraid to ask that question?
That might be the reason why we have a lot of married people living and sleeping in separate bedrooms.
So let's talk about how to address the hidden barriers that are killing your physical connection. So first, let's talk about what it is. Practical strategies for removing the most common obstacles to intimate connection: rebuilding emotional safety, managing life pressures, addressing conflict patterns, and creating space for desire to emerge.
In the book of Genesis explains this so eloquent in chapter 2, verse 25. It describes the original design for marriage as being naked and unashamed, completely vulnerable without fear. When barriers exist, this design cannot be fulfilled. That's important.
But do you think that comes from one of the things that happens a lot of times? Woman has a baby. She ends up with that baby weight. All right. So her body ain't hot and banging like it was when they first started. So a lot of times, once that body starts changing its shape, people become insecure.
I believe that's true. And I think that goes back to what we spoke about earlier, is being totally 100% transparent. You can see that because you're looking at your spouse every day. So you can see the change. So that tells me that you should still continue to love them regardless of how their body is shaping and transforming. Because what happens when your body changes and shapes and transforms? You had a 6-pack, but now you got a 20-pack.
Okay, so talk about what to do.
What we do is we choose the barrier most relevant to your situation and implement specific solutions. For emotional disconnection, institute daily 10-minute check-ins without phones or distraction. Now, we've talked about this on previous podcasts, that you gotta have a check-in. Either you decide you're gonna do it daily, weekly, or monthly. I strongly suggest doing it weekly. What do you think?
In the beginning, you may want to do it daily.
Well, it depends on the severity of where they are. If 10 being bad, that's where they are, they may need to check
every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Okay, so for life overwhelm, identify 3 responsibilities you can delegate, eliminate, or postpone.
Now, that's good. For unresolved conflict, schedule a relationship clearing conversation using the speaker listening technique. Now,
you know what that is.
What's the speaker listening technique?
It's speaker listener. And the technique is when the speaker is speaking, the listener needs to just keep their mouth shut.
It's just that simple.
It's just that
when
simple.
you say it in those terms, people probably think, well, man, what's the speaker listener technique? Well, it's just as simple as it. When that person is speaking, you listen. And vice versa.
So for routine or boredom, plan one new shared experience together each week for a month.
That's good. For performance pressure, agree to focus on connection rather than performance for 30 days. Now, that's the good. Yeah, because if you keep measuring it by the performance might not be there. But at least you're taking baby steps and you're getting the connection.
Right.
That comes back to when you do that daily deal, if there are 10 being bad.
So for feeling undesired, commit to 5 non-sexual acts of affection daily. Hand-holding, compliments, and things like that.
You know what? That's that connection piece. Because you got to take baby steps.
Got to take baby steps.
You got to take the baby steps. Here's a point we want to share with you again. Establishing a step-by-step approach to rebuilding desire that actually works. And what does that look like? The desire process.
Why it's important. The Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 7, warns, do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. This wisdom applies to rebuilding intimacy. Genuine desire cannot be rushed, but must be cultivated.
Again, bite-sized pieces, holding hands at night, rubbing, asking questions. How do you feel? That's some good stimuli right there.
Yeah, but I think also in that process, because when you said rubbing her, find out what she likes, and that's what you need to do.
I was saying rubbing because that's what you like. So I was
I just wanted to make sure we're clear.
I didn't know we had to speak in general.
Okay.
Basically, you're right. So these are the things that you need to do. Implement the desire process over the next 6 weeks. Week 1 through 2, discuss. Have honest conversations about needs, fears, and barriers without pressure. So you got to remember, you got here, you don't want to return back to where you were, so just understand. Take it slow. Don't put no pressure. You've been married to this person for a while.
Okay, so week 3, you want to work on the emotional connection. Focus solely on rebuilding emotional intimacy through quality time and meaningful conversation.
I like that. Week 4, safety. Create agreements about how to handle rejections. Initiate and communication with around intimacy. That means keep the lines open, keep asking questions. Am I okay here?
So week 5, you want to call that intimacy rebuilding.
Yes.
Begin with non-sexual physical touch, massage, cuddling, and holding hands.
Well, I know for you, the massage is going to be out. The cuddling and the holding the hands will be good.
Yeah.
Week 6, restoration. Allow physical intimacy to emerge naturally from the foundation you've built, meaning you're just building it like from week 1, week 2, you're asking these questions. And by the time you get to week 6, everything should fall in line.
And week 7, evaluation. Assess your progress and establish ongoing practices to maintain connection.
That's powerful right there.
It is.
That's powerful. Intimacy isn't just about physical connection. It's about two souls meeting in complete vulnerability and trust. When your spouse avoids intimacy, they're not rejecting you personally. They're protecting themselves from something that feels unsafe or disconnected. As you remove the barriers, rebuild the foundation, not just improving your sex life, you're creating the environment where both of you can experience the full intimacy God designed for marriage. Remember, the goal isn't just more frequent intimacy, but intimacy that connects your hearts as deeply as your bodies. That's powerful.
Yes.
That's powerful.
So let's do a recap, honey.
Well, let's recap it together.
We explored the surprising underlying reasons spouses avoid intimacy.
Yes. We learned how to identify and address the hidden barriers to physical connection.
We discovered the desired process for rebuilding intimacy from the ground up.
Very good. Intimacy avoidance is often about safety and connection, not personal rejection.
And with patience and intentionality, desire can be rebuilt even after years of disconnect.
I believe that.
I do too.
So again, we hope you got some value out of this, and we want to thank you for joining us today. And these new episodes release every Monday and Thursday, so be sure to follow us wherever you're listening to podcasts. If today's message gave you hope for rebuilding intimacy in your marriage, please share it with someone whose relationship might benefit from these insights. Until we come again, God bless you, and be looking forward to you listening to us on the next podcast.